personal foul.
That was absolutely ridiculous.
The Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Up on down. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series.
I don't know. It's tough. Tom's up there, man. Being tough.
Well, I've been a fan of Boston Celtics for, my whole life pretty much.
The first Celtics game was back when I was like 7 years old.
The Boston Celtics became legendary.
A month and a half ago, I picked the biggest roller coaster team in NBA history to win it all, and man, was I wrong. I got mesmerized by what I thought would be the depth, the length, the best wing duo in the wing league, the defensive foundation they built, the experience they had, the 2 All-NBA players they had, them being together longer than anybody not named Golden State. This all convinced me that they would come out victorious. But all the ups and downs through the last 365 days, all the bad late game execution habits they built through the year, and their 2 best superstars not really being reliable superstars when it matters most, it just came back to haunt them. Today's video is sponsored by Manscaped. Father's Day is coming up, and Manscaped literally has the perfect collection of gifts that any man would appreciate. You can start with their beard hedger.
But we begin with the developing story that we mentioned at the top of the show. 3 months after leading the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals in his first season as head coach, Ime Udoka facing a likely full season suspension.
First off, I just want to say thank you to all the people who have given me love and support through this entire playoff run. This playoff run, personally, for me, was an absolute blur. We have surpassed 1,000 subs. In the last month, we've had almost 100,000 views. Me, on a personal level, I achieved so much on this playoff run. And at the end of the day, it's because of you guys. And I just want to say thank you all for the love and support. And hitting the subscribe button and showing the support for what I do on this channel and all that. I know there's some Heat fans. There's some fans of other teams that are subscribed to this channel too. So, to you guys also, thank you. Couldn't have done it without you guys. There right now is a giveaway going on my channel. If you go to my community page, it will be the first post that is up there. Maybe the second post now, because I might be putting an update on the giveaway stream that I'm going to do. Make sure you guys go follow the directions on that post in order to win the giveaway.
This team too reliant on the three-point shot. Does that have to change?
No.
It's crazy because when you really think about it, the Boston Celtics have actually been on this big-ass roller coaster going back to last season. Literally, the biggest flip of the year was Boston. They started their first 50 games 500, had Marcus Smart calling out their 2 best players, had people talking about breaking up their 2 best players.
You know what? Yeah, I'm going to go into that right now. So, it's obviously too early to talk about what they should do in the offseason. In my analysis the last couple days, here's what I have came up with. People are saying that they need to trade Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard. They need to trade Brown for Beal, or they need to trade Smart, make a major move, so on and so forth. I disagree with that. I don't think they need to make a major move, but they do need to make a move. Or 2 moves. And those moves are very, 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 very minor. What I think the Celtics need for next season is that the Celtics need winning culture players. And I don't mean like a top tier player, obviously. If you guys want to get in the debate on if the move for Brown or Lillard is a good thing for the Celtics, I mean, we can have that debate, but me personally, I still think the Celtics are better off with Brown. But in terms of winning culture players, They need players who knows how to get back to the finals and knows how to win a championship. Like, for example, one move that Miami Heat made that was very good going forward in the postseason was them getting Kevin Love. Like, Kevin Love, in all of his postseason appearances, has made the finals. He's won a championship. He knows how to get there, and he knows how to win. He knows how to make other players better in situations where they have to adjust. The Sixers tried to do that with PJ Tucker. The Warriors have Draymond Green be that guy, who is not a great player, but he knows what needs to be done to win a game. They need a player like that who's not going to cost them much. Maybe you do have to trade off like Peyton Pritchard or Sam Hauser to get that player, but that's what they kind of need right now. Maybe you can find that player in the free agency at a vet minimum because there's new CBA rules, whatever, so on and so forth, but that's what they need. They don't need a major move. They just need winning culture players. And that can be easily taken care of on the back end of the bench. Like Kevin Love in Game 7, I don't think he even played much in Game 7, to be completely honest with you. I don't think he played much. You need somebody like that. Like, I love Blake Griffin, don't get me wrong. I love Blake Griffin. And no disrespect to Blake Griffin at all. But he has won nothing. Sure, he's a veteran and he brings leadership to the team, but he doesn't know how to win. He hasn't won anything in this league. In terms of talent, I think you're fine where you are. You don't need to add more talent to this team. You need somebody who can bring in that killer mentality to these players. That killer mentorship, that's what this team needs. Now, as far as the coaching, oof. For the coaching, I definitely think that you need some veteran coaches on this team. If you're not going to fire Missoula, like they're looking at Silas, they're looking at Frank Vogel to be added into the assistant head coach job. I like that. You need some coaches behind Missoula that can help mentor Missoula to become a coach if you're not going to fire him. If you are going to fire him, I would like to see Monty Williams be on this team as a head coach, but I think that's a long shot. Those are some moves that I would make right now. Those are like my early thoughts of what this team should do. I'm sure the person that we're watching here is going to address some of those needs that the Celtics are going to have, but those are my early thoughts with the Celtics and what they need to do this offseason. Again, it's way too early to figure that out, but do I think the Celtics will be back next season competing for a championship? My answer to that is yes, without a doubt.
And then they finished stronger than anybody possibly in the history of the sport. Had the best record in the league. Had one of the strongest, most disciplined defenses in the league. And essentially broke up the never was era that KD and Kyrie was in Brooklyn. And even after all the success they had post the 50-game mark going back to last year, and with them destroying Brooklyn and making the NBA Finals, they still did it in the weirdest, hardest way possible. Bro, look at the last few conference champions. I took out the bubble year because
This is so frustrating right here. This was last year's home record in the playoffs. This right here is on the players. You know, when you're playing at home, you're supposed to be hyped. You're supposed to get behind your crowd. And for some reason, they the bed when they play at home. Now, I don't know if that's because they're afraid of what their fan base is going to think if they don't play well, so they come in more nervous there. I don't know. They need to translate that home record that they had in the regular season into the postseason. And don't keep putting your backs against the wall, because that's what really cost them this series in the Eastern Conference Finals. They got their backs against the walls early. That forces them to play more games. And when you play more games, that means there's a higher possibility of injuries. And in Game 7, we saw Tatum tweak his ankle. And that was kind of the dagger right there to the Celtics season. Sure, we can go into detail of like how each player did in that game, but that's what really killed them right there, was the first 20 seconds of Game 7. It caught up to them, and they had to pay the price for it.
Obviously, home court didn't even exist in that environment. But look at their home playoff records. All of them are at least above 500. Milwaukee, when they went, they were 10-1 at home. Phoenix, when they went, they were 8-3. The Heat this year, they're 6-2. Denver, they're undefeated. Even pre-pandemic, the Warriors, they were at least a game above 500, even with the drama and injuries they had. The Raptors, they were 9-4. Last year, Boston, they were 500 at home. And mind you, all of those losses came after the first round because they swept Brooklyn. Those 6 playoff games they lost last year at home were the most a Boston team has lost in a single playoff run in the history of their existence. And guess what? They came back this year and did the exact same thing. And in fact, they did it a little bit worse. Miami talks about wanting to take the hard route to get where they want to be, but really that represents Boston just as much, if not more. Last season and this year, out of every team that played more than 4 playoff games and essentially just didn't get swept, they had the worst.
And for somebody who went to so many games this postseason run, that is really frustrating. That is absolutely frustrating.
Home playoff records for back-to-back consecutive years. And oddly enough, they offset it because last year they had the best road playoff record all season, and this year they had the exact same thing. This year, out of every team to ever play at least 12 road playoff games, which is actually insane to think about when you had home court in every single series, they have the second best winning percentage ever. So they oddly know how to execute when their backs are against the wall. They just struggle to win in front of their fans. And a lot of their playoff struggles, to me, stems from their 2 best players who are superstar talents, but they're so inconsistent and so unreliable. Last year, Jason Tatum had 100 total playoff turnovers. That's the most in a single playoff run ever. After going up 2-1 against Golden State in the finals, they lost 3 straight playoff games.
You know, I heard some radio people give him crap because he didn't show up in the 4th quarter much this series. And the only thing I'm going to say in terms of that is when he's getting double teamed in the 4th quarter of games after dropping pretty much 35 points in the first 3 quarters, what do you want him to do? Of course, the main guy in your team is how your team is going to perform. But for the most part this postseason, I thought Tatum played well. Sure, if you want to talk about last round where he wouldn't show up in the first half or whatever, right? Yeah. But I would say for the most part, though, he's done his thing. I mean, this playoffs, he averaged around 28, 29 points per game. You want more from him? It's crazy, man.
Tatum and Brown in those 3 games combined for 27 total turnovers. They lost all 3 of those playoff games by double figures. 2 of them were at home. So again, going back to last year, this team lives to make their jobs harder and to not execute in the most pivotal moments when they supposedly have the advantage. Then continuing the up and down roller coaster, they have the weirdest good-bad offseason I've ever seen in my entire life. Even with that being the case, the talent and the roster and the depth alone propelled them into being this juggernaut of a team all season this year. They won the most games they had in like 13 seasons. They had 2 players averaging over 25 points a night. They had 2 All-NBA players. They had the 6th man of the year. They destroyed the league in point differential. They led the league in net rating. They were the only team that was top 3 offensively and defensively. But this team, they had glaring flaws that unfortunately came to the light when it mattered most. I don't even know if it's fair to blame a young-ass coach like Joe Mazzulla when you have an experienced roster like they do, but for whatever reason, this team just couldn't close games all year. I remember around mid-March, They had a
I don't know, man. When a coach says no, that they don't need to adjust to how many threes they take, that's a glaring issue. Like, I don't know. If the three isn't falling, when you're going 0 for 11 from 3 in the first quarter, I don't know. Maybe it's not working for you that night. When Al Horford is posted up against Gabe Vincent, have him take it to the basket. He's too little. Let me back him up and get a layup. And get this ball movement going instead of sometimes taking the first three-pointer that you see. And giving them a quick possession back. I think the play calling could be a lot better, though. It wasn't bad for most of the part of the season, but it can definitely be better for sure.
a drought in which 5 of their last 7 losses were losses where they blew 14-point plus leads in 5 of those 7 games. And look at the losses. That's embarrassing. Those bad late game execution habits, they unfortunately followed. This season, even with how dominant they were, and I just gloated about all the damn stats they led. You know what team led the league in overtime games? And this is not a great stat. Like, this means you're not closing out games in regulation like you should be. It was the Boston Celtics, and they were 3 games under 500 in this extra period. Also, this team, and I tried to put a blind eye to it because when they hit them, I mean, they look really good. But they lived and died by the 3 way too much.
Way too much.
This season, the Celtics, they were 2nd in 3-point attempts and 5th all time. This year, the Celtics, they shot the 2nd least amount of 2-point attempts, only above Dallas. And we know how that ended for them. In the playoffs, this one-dimensional formula...
Like, it's fine if you're on fire from 3 to keep shooting them. It's one thing if you're fine, but if it's not your night, you need to find a way to adjust and get yourself some better looks. I mean, if it's not your night and you have an open shot, yeah, shoot it, but attack the basket more. Get yourself some layups more. And the analytics say the mid-range shot is the worst efficient shot in the game. I don't care. If you're open or you can make it, then take it. I don't care. Hustle back on defense, no problem. Hate the analytics in sports. The analytics in sports really, really sucks in the sports world.
It translated and it ultimately didn't end well. Even with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 2 players that I believe are creative enough and dynamic enough to get to the basket off the dribble, they were 3rd in 3-point attempts and next to last in 2-point attempts and free throw attempts. And going back to them not being able to finish games and them being terrible in late game situations, specifically at home, that followed them as well. This team went 6 games with Atlanta. No disrespect to Atlanta, but why did they go 6 games with Atlanta? That's because in game 5, they blew a 13-point lead with 6 minutes left. Against Philly, one without literally the MVP, they lost 2 crucial home games. Against Miami, they had home court advantage and they lost 3 of their 4 games in Boston. One of those games, game 2 to be exact, they blew a 9-point lead in the 4th quarter. Game 6, where Derrick White had the game-winning putback, they tried their hardest to blow a 7-point lead with like 3 minutes left. Also, their best 2 players, they're way too inconsistent. In the first 3 games in which they fell down 0-3, a 3-point shooting team and their 2 best players, they're a combined 7 for 40 in the first 3 games. Jaylen Brown was pretty much terrible all series. Look at him in the second half of these games. Last night, and I like Jaylen Brown, but he literally had one of the worst elimination games ever, and that's no exaggeration. Last night, this man had 8 turnovers. That was top 10 in an elimination game ever. Out of everybody in that top 10, he had one of the lowest field goal percentages, he had the lowest plus minus, and he was only one of 3 that did this at home. Going back to last year, this team just lives to put themselves in situations where their backs are essentially against the wall, and it's strange. This year, they played double the amount of elimination games compared to anybody else. Going back to last year and this year and last year combined, they played 10 elimination games. Nobody's played more than 4. For the most part, they ultimately execute with their backs against the wall. Before last night, they had just won 8 straight elimination games versus the East. But it's only so long you can keep doing that. Also, that one-dimensional style, it eventually ran out. This year, they were 38-3 when they shot above 40% from deep. They were 2 games below 500 when they didn't, so it's just hard to live like that. If you guys like this video, This loss is also bad because it puts real question marks with this team's future. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're set to both make like $613 million combined because they both made all NBA teams. And with the new CBA, I don't know if Boston really wants to do that, but you don't want to lose those two as well. So it gets very tricky after this. Make sure you guys follow my social media sites.
So I want to go back real quick to that 3-point stat between Brown and Tatum. Is he talking about? Oh, he's talking about games 1 and 3. I have to go back and see what Tatum shot from those games. But I mean, game 3, everybody really stunk the floor up though. So thank you guys for watching this video. I said at the end of the video that I'd be giving you guys my update in terms of this channel. So, going forward on this channel, you guys know where I stand in terms of the Red Sox. So, there really isn't much for me coming out there. As I'm recording this, it is 9/21, Wednesday, May 31st. And the Red Sox are losing again to a team that is not good also in the Cincinnati Reds. So they have came back down to earth, and they are becoming the team like I predicted them to be. So there really isn't going to be much going forward in terms of Red Sox games that I'm going to. My next game that I'm scheduled to go to will be Mookie Betts' return to Boston. That is the next game going forward. Will it change? I don't know. Maybe. But I could be going to the city to meet up with some friends that work at Fenway. Because I ain't giving my money to John Henry. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. In terms of the website, putting a season recap or a season review on the Celtics and Bruins. That's coming next. When Nathan Eovaldi returns, I don't know if he's pitching. If he's pitching, I'll go see that. But when his team returns, I'll be putting an Eovaldi article out. For the Patriots, I want to do those free joint practices or see a couple of them. I want to see those. My buddy Steven, who lives up the street, loves to go to those, so maybe I'll tag along with him to go see one, and I'll get that for you guys. I definitely want to see Brady get recognized for his 20 years of being a Patriot and all he's done for the New England Patriots on opening night. I do want to do that. Obviously, there'll be reactions coming out and all that. Another thing that I will be planning on doing is I'll be doing a compilation. These are 2 separate videos, by the way, that I'm talking about right here. I'll be doing compilations of my best and funny moments from the Bruins season and the Celtics season. Those are 2 ideas that I have right there going forward. Maybe I'll do a Q&A. I'm going to have the big 1,000 subscriber video. That, like, fun video that I was talking about when I was going to hit 500 subs. I'm going to plan on maybe doing that over the summer. It's just a matter of if I can get people to be in it. It's a hard thing to do. So we'll see on that. Then the giveaway stream, obviously. I think I'm going to do the giveaway stream either Friday or on the weekend because on that same stream, Mike will be doing his punishment from his bet from the Patriots season before last year. He was supposed to wear a clown suit originally, but you guys voted on what he should do instead. So his punishment will be coming soon. So that'll probably happen like Friday or the weekend. So be on the lookout for that also. And that's really it on updates for this channel here. Thank you guys for watching as always. Leave a thumbs up if you guys enjoy these videos. Subscribe now if you guys are new. You guys know what to do. Oh, one more thing before I hop off here. There will be a podcast coming soon with me and Mike. Us talking Celtics, us talking Bruins. We'll probably obviously talk about the Red Sox and Patriots on this, so on and so forth. But there will be a podcast coming also soon, so be on the lookout for that as well. So until next time, it's been your boy Jesse, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, guys.